Hi friends, hope you all are doing good. Today I have decided to take some theory section with related to SFM. These are all important questions from examination perspective. I have just picked few questions from suggested answers and from CA as well as from CMA questions. So and I would like to keep it very short in terms of these theory questions for understanding as well as for quick grasping. Let me know your questions in the comment section. So let's start with the first one. So the first one is credit rating agencies. So the question is, what is credit rating? So credit rating is nothing but, in general, it's an opinion. So if you ask me about a particular person, what do you think about that person? I would say that he's good, he's normal, he's average. No, I can rate it in any way. Similarly, a financial institution or banks wants to rate a particular person, wants to think of, before giving any loans, before granting any loans, they want to see how do they, what is their capability, are they really good in terms of repaying the debt. So before going to that situation, they will see the credit rating of that person, and they can proceed further. These credit ratings are offered by credit agencies. So that is the point. So credit rating is an expression of opinion of a rating agency. Those rating agencies will give the rating, and then the opinion is on a specific date. Only, for example, on January, a credit rating suggested by credit rating agency during January may change in the month of March. Depends on the credit history. So this is applicable only on a specific date. The opinion is in regard to a debt instrument, and then the opinion depends on a probability of interest and financial being that timely. That means depends on the financial and interest repaying capacity. This will be decided, and this will evaluate the risk of the particular transaction. Okay, so what it aims to. So credit rating agency aims at superior information to the banks. So banks, based on that, they can decide, and then they can take a call. So for that, they have to pay very lower cost, and then based on that, they can take a sound decision. They can understand the risk and return structure for each of the transactions, and then borrowers will also follow a healthy discipline. If they understand there will be credit rating, they don't go for default, or they don't lapse their payments. That will affect their credit ratings. So these are the few aims. Okay, so overall, providing these credit ratings in India, CRISIL is providing credit rating agency services, and then the next one is Investment Information and Credit Rating Agency of India, and the third one is Credit Analysis and Research Care. So these agencies are recognized by RBI. That means banks, before giving any loan, they can reach out to these people, and these people will give suggestions to bank through credit ratings, and based on that, bank will take a decision. This is credit rating. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question is organization sustainable. This was asked in CA final. What is organization sustainable? So in order to achieve the sales, okay, we can say that this organization has performed really well. So how do we say that this organization is continuously performing really well? So this is something that the organization achieving sale with combination of firms with a good profitability, with a good asset utilization, and also desired dividend payout is also possible, and with a good debt ratio. If that is possible, okay, we can say that this is a good sustainable organization. To be financially sustainable, so these are the points to be taken care. To be financially sustainable, first point, organization should have more than one source of income. Organization should not depend on only one source of income. They have to generate another source of income, and then they have to do strategic action and financial planning regularly. Third point, and then they have to be very clear with their values. Only then they have to take, and they will cascade those values to across the hierarchy, and that will be reflected. Everybody will work towards that. And then they should have a good public image, and they should have a financial autonomy. So these are the key points with relating to financially sustainable. Let's go to the third question. What are the stages of capital budgeting process. Okay, in capital budgeting process there are different stages. So this is the question, like what are the stages? So the first one is we have to identify and select the right project. Okay, so for that purpose we will compute what are the funds required and what stages these funds are required, and then we'll compute what are the various cash inflows under various conditions the project will generate. Second point is at what stages we have to deploy our funds. Like initial stage we have to deploy a huge amount of fund, and at the terminal stage we have to deploy some minimal amount, and in between they have to deploy some fund. Similarly at the last stage there will be some cash inflows. And then fourth stage is finalize the projects. Based on that, for finalizing the projects there are different methods we have discussed, we have practiced, like NPV method, IRR method, and different decision making methods we use. And then the fifth stage is we have to set some control parameters for successful implementation of these projects. And then the last stage of the project is monitor the progress. That means whether the project is going based on the plans, we have to do the monitor. This is the question. Let's go to the next question. This is one of the important questions tested in CMA final. NPV versus IRR, and at what situation these two methods, NPV and IRR, will give conflicting results. That means NPV will suggest go for the project, IRR will not suggest a green signal. So in that case, what would be the decision? Which method will we go? First one is initial investment disparity. Under this situation, under initial investment disparity, okay, like the NPV and IRR will give conflicting results. Under initial investment, if the project size is different, for example, a project A is 5 years and the project B is only 2 years, NPV and IRR may give different results. And then the next one is project life disparity, difference in project life. And the third one is outflow patterns, like when cash outflow arises at different points. Like NPV and IRR. And what situation NPV and IRR will give conflicting results? First one is initial investment disparity, and the next one is project life disparity, and the third one is when the outflow pattern changes, NPV and IRR will give conflicting results. And the last one is cash flow disparity. With relating to outflow patterns, for example, if we have to deploy different cash outflow at the initial and at the mid and at the terminal value, if we deploy more cash flows, and if that changes across the projects, there will be difference in answer. And the last one is cash flow disparity. That means the inflow of cash differs between these two projects. In that case, NPV and IRR will give conflicting results. Okay. Next question is very interesting question. Merchant bankers. Who is a merchant banker? Okay. So normally, we are aware about commercial bankers. Based on commercial bankers, a normal person will do the normal banking transaction for his personal purpose. As an individual, I'm talking about. So now, and what stage and who is benefited out of merchant bankers is what we are going to see. So now, merchant bankers are not for common people. These are all for specific people. They provide kind of service which cannot be provided by a normal bank. That is, a traditional banking system will not provide these kind of services. Okay. One of the key services they provide are corporate counseling and project counseling, loan management, portfolio management, managers, advisories, and consultants to the issue. For example, if there is an issue in terms where expert is needed to better handle this situation, merchant bankers will be the first preference. And then issue management. In terms of prospectus issue, we want a good suggestion. Let's go for merchant bankers would be the first choice. And then in terms of market pricing, post issue matters. Okay. In terms of mergers and acquisition, takeovers, we want to take some guidance. We'll go for merchant bankers. Merchant bankers provide these kind of services. This is in nutshell about merchant bankers. And then the next question is related to differences between merchant bankers and commercial bankers. Commercial bankers are nothing but traditional banking style. Okay, before going to this, I would like to give some practical differences between these two banks. Merchant bankers, like I said previously, they operate for selected set of people, like for accredited customers they create the account, and for their purpose like mergers and acquisitions, consultancy, portfolio management, loan management, counselings, suggestions, they do these operations. In terms of the regular business, you cannot see a merchant banker will have a ATM, where a traditional bank will have a ATM. These are all simple things that we can think of. A good example for merchant banker is Barclays, Goldman Sachs, State Street, and there are few other banks which also provide commercial bank as well as merchant banks. Okay, now comes to the difference. The first difference is commercial bank accept deposits and give loan. Merchant bank on the other side, they will give only consultancy. They help in issue management and they help in the issue of shares. And then the second difference is loans given by commercial bank is debt related, whereas loans given by merchant bankers is equity related. Third point is commercial bank doesn't take risk of the clients, whereas merchant bankers take the risk of the clients. Risk of clients in sense they are responsible for the performance. Here commercial banks, they provide loans, and if they don't repay, they file suit, and they'll just go based on the act. This is completely different. They provide some consultancy. If something goes wrong, they are responsible for that. They'll give some guarantee. Commercial bank acts as a financier, whereas merchant bankers acts as a financial advisors. Commercial banks comes under the regulatory of Banking Regulation Act, which comes under RBI, whereas merchant banks comes under regulatory framed by SEBI. Okay, now this is very very important. The last point is commercial bank is for mass banking, like normal person can open an account and maintain a savings account, and whenever they want fund they can go and take the money out, whereas merchant bankers is not for mass banking, it is for a class of selected people, class of selected banking. That's the difference between merchant bank and commercial bank. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, what are the direct and indirect instruments used by RBI in implementing monetary policy? First one, they implement cash reserve ratio, okay, and then statutory liquidity ratio, and then liquidity adjustment facilities and open market operations. These are the direct and indirect instruments used by RBI for implementing monetary policy. Let's discuss about cash reserve ratio. What is cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio is nothing but the net demand and time liabilities that bank must maintain as a cash balance with RBI. This is cash reserve ratio. And then the next one is statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory liquidity ratio is nothing but the share of net demand and time liabilities, okay, that bank must maintain in safe and liquid assets such as gold, securities, and then government securities, cash, and other liquidities. That means if they want to withdraw cash immediately, okay, what are the options available for them and where they should invest? They have to mandatorily invest in gold, cash, or other liquidity instruments in certain proportion on a timely basis. Okay, and then these are all indirect instruments. Liquidity adjustment facility. What is liquidity adjustment facility? Liquidity adjustment facility is done through repo and reverse repo. What is repo and reverse repo? Even in the current situation, RBI has reduced the repo rates. Okay, repo I'll take a separate topic because it's a big category, where under repo bank will get funds from RBI at a very lesser rate, and they'll use the same funds to issue loans to customers at a higher rate. The difference is the margin for bank, whereas bank also accept deposits from public, and for that also they are giving interest. the difference between the interest they charge for deposits and the interest they charge for the loan is the net interest margin. And then now what are the open market operations they do? The open market operations is nothing but the outright sales, purchase of government securities. In addition to the liquid adjustment facility, they do certain actions here. So these are the direct and indirect instruments. Okay, let's go to the next question. Asset finance company. Okay, what is asset finance company? Asset finance company means a company which provides finance for purchasing physical assets for the purpose of supporting productive economic activity. That means those physical assets are used for the purpose of generating some productive economic activity. So what are all productive economic activity? Automobiles, tractors, lathe machines. That means these equipments are mandatory. These equipments generate 60% of the overall income. In that case, these are all considered as assets that produce economic activity. And for these assets, asset finance companies provide finance. Okay, and their principal business is financing real physical assets and supporting economic activity. That means the income is more than 60%. Okay, at any cost it should not go below 60%. That is the point. Okay, the next question is infrastructure debt fund. Infrastructure debt fund, they comes under the NBFC criteria. They will register as under NBFC and they provide the long-term funds to infrastructure projects. The infrastructure debt funds are in terms of bonds. They provide a kind of bond, and these bonds are in terms of dollars or in terms of rupees for a period of 5 years. Okay, only infrastructure financing companies can sponsor infrastructure debt fund. Okay, let's go to the next question. Next question is, what are the tools and techniques used by RBI to maintain financial stability? Okay, this is one of the important questions. Okay, being continuously tested in CA and CMA final. Okay. First one is financial stress indicator, and the second one is systematic liquidity indicator. Third one is fiscal stress indicator, and the fourth one is banking stability indicator. Financial stress indicator, that means what are the financial stress that the financial markets and the banking sector is going through, that will be assessed here. And then systematic liquidity indicator, assessing the stresses availability in converting the liquidity, will be analyzed here. And the third one is fiscal stress indicator, for assessing building up of risk from fiscal during a fiscal period. What are the stress available will be analyzed under fiscal stress indicator. The last one is banking stability indicator, for assessing risk factors having a bearing on the stability of banking sector. That means risk relating to banking sector will be analyzed here. So these are the 4 tools and techniques used by RBI to maintain financial stability. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, this question is something that we have to identify overall the regulatory authority for these entities. Okay, let's go one by one. First one is chit fund. Okay, the regulatory authority for chit fund is respective state governments. Okay, and the next one is insurance companies, regulated by IRDA. Housing finance companies, regulated by National Housing Bank. And then venture capital funds, regulated by SEBI. NBFC, again regulated by RBI. And then stock broking companies, SEBI. And then Nidhi companies, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. The last one is private banks, RBI. So, okay, with that we come to a conclusion that I've just picked a few questions from suggested answers, compiled with CA, compiled both CA and CMA final questions. So hope this would be helpful. Please mention your questions in the comment section. I'll also put few other important questions from financial management perspective. Thanks for watching. Cheers.